Here we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have a very special guest today in my Zuma studio in Hollywood Hills. I have Danny. Danny is a friend through several channels. Number one, he's a UCLA guy. He's a student of UCLA and he's an entrepreneur at UCLA. We're going to talk about that. Before we start, I want to give you guys a little information about what we do here. Um, Zuma Housing is a housing company. We provide apartments for students, mostly students, interns, young professionals. Besides providing accommodation services, we got this incredible idea of creating a community. And you could be a tenant in this community, you could be a vendor, you could be someone who knows us. We are welcoming pretty much everyone. And this podcast is a part of that community idea. And I want to say welcome to Danny today.
Yeah, thank you.
How is it going?
Really good. Yeah, I drove out here from Santa Barbara this morning and happy to be here.
It's amazing. It's an incredible Friday, and we're both very excited. Danny, I got a bunch of questions for you. I have notes, but why don't you start by introducing yourself? Tell us who you are.
For sure. Yeah, my name's Danny. I'm an LA native, and I actually was born around LA and lived in Santa Monica up until the age of 1. And my parents had actually moved up to Canada and Vancouver for a few years. So I lived in Vancouver for up to the age of 6, moved back to California, grew up in Southern California, went to UCLA.
I
And
went to UCLA is a very simple way of saying I want to hear how did you manage to enter UCLA? Such an incredible and also challenging university to enter.
yeah, I think I really honestly loved UCLA and the experience. Honestly, everybody I met there was so driven, so passionate, and it wasn't just about the academics. After class, you would go out, do fun things together, explore LA, and everybody was so multifaceted. You had athletes, you had people who were into the music industry, you had people who were into acting, and you really get exposed to a wide
Very
range.
diverse, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And people you hang out with, they really determine who you're going to become, right?
100%. Yeah. I think about the environment that I grew up in, and there's no way that if I hadn't gone to UCLA, I would have had the exposure to meet all these amazing people and have these amazing experiences.
Right. So let's say you have a friend who is an entrepreneur, who is really hustling and trying to set up something, right? There is no way for you to not to be inspired by that person.
Yeah, 100%.
It makes you think, hey, what am I doing right now? Maybe
Yeah.
I need to also hustle and do something about it, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody at UCLA is very ambitious. People are always starting new businesses, starting their career in acting, music,
Hmm.
and I think it starts with a dream. You've got to have a dream of what you want to work towards and who you want to be. I mean, we've talked about that, like who you want to be,
Right,
right?
right, exactly. And there are two major factors in who you want to be idea. Number one, it's the environment you're in.
Yeah,
And number two, it's the people
yeah,
who you hang out
100%.
with, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, we just started a very deep part of the conversation. I'm very glad that you're here today. I got some introductory questions, of course. What do you study at UCLA?
So I studied aerospace engineering initially because when I was a kid, I wanted to be a rocket scientist. So
Hmm.
as a kid, I would look at airplanes in the sky and I think, oh my goodness, it'd be so cool to build those airplanes.
Wow.
And yeah, after graduating, I got to work on some really cool aircraft. And yeah, it's honestly something that I love.
Um, there are very few people in the world who have been able to execute what they dreamed in the childhood.
Mm.
In that sense, you're a very lucky one, and I think also a determined one.
Yeah, I'm not the kind of person to give up.
That's great.
Unfortunately. Yeah, and I think a lot of the people that I've surrounded myself are their own biggest critic. We've talked about this actually
Right,
where
we did.
um you said, okay, who am I today and who was I yesterday?
Right.
And um really just always being your own greatest critic and then making sure that you're holding yourself accountable to your dreams.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
a great way to measure your
Yeah,
progress.
yeah,
Progress,
exactly. You
right?
taught me that, not comparing yourself to other people, but comparing yourself to who you want to be.
Right.
It's
exactly.
really important.
And it's very difficult to not to really see other people, thanks to social media.
Yeah,
You see so many happy, rich, beautiful people on certain social media channels.
right.
But I always think that it's a trap for
Yeah,
young people who need to start working from one small thing. It's a
yeah,
big distraction because it just gives them that anxiety that they have to really become rich or accomplished like right away.
yeah,
They're forgetting the very important principle of starting from one small thing, find your way, find your strategy on that, and then kind of implement that small project strategy into your big dreams. But be patient, take it slow, and go very properly.
yeah. I agree with that. I mean, your own personal story. You started, really small, and look at you now. You accomplished a lot. So
Um, like when I said in the beginning, we're a community. Let's talk about a little more. Zuma Housing was basically created based on my own needs as a student. I used to be an international student in LA, and I had a lot of trouble finding housing. And literally, there is that thing like all the great companies, they start from the needs, right? Like
yeah,
challenge, like making things easier for other people.
yeah,
And Zuma is a good example of it because at the time it was incredibly challenging for international students to find housing in Los Angeles, especially in Westwood area.
100%. Yeah,
And since I went through that difficulty, what I did was I also took advantage of the real estate crash back in 2008, and I was able to convince so many landlords whose apartments were vacant at the time due to real estate crash. I told them like, look, I know you can't find domestic customers and traditional tenants, but maybe, and at the time it was a flow of international students coming to the United States.
mm,
And we were able to convince those landlords to accept those international students without any credit checks, without any like deeper research to their properties.
yeah.
And that idea worked so well that we were able to set up a company called Zuma Housing on that great point.
That's incredible. Yeah, I actually had a conversation with the UCLA International Student Marketing Director, and then she said that when she first came, she's from Brazil.
Hmm.
When she first came to the United States, she had a really tough time finding housing. It was super stressed. And you know what she said? She said Zuma Housing picked her up from the airport. Isn't that
Wow.
incredible?
Wait, she was a Zuma Housing
Yeah,
customer?
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't.
yeah.
What's her name?
Um, I think, yeah, I'd have to look it
We
up.
gotta talk
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
yeah,
I really didn't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
didn't know that. That's amazing. That's
yeah.
great to
I met
know.
with her once, and
Wow, that's incredible. We picked her up at the airport. That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, yeah. All right. So we're gonna talk about your entrepreneurship idea too. Danny has this incredible business called unishack.com. It's a housing service for UCLA students. It's a website. If you got challenges finding housing, so you can go on Danny's website, unishack.com,
yeah.
and you would be able to see so many great options. Why don't you talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, so I started initially as bruinshack.com, and then I realized that, why don't we expand to multiple campuses? And then so now it's unishack.org. And so if you want to find us, you can check us out at unishack.org.
Unishack.org.
Yeah.
Okay, so to get that ORG extension, do you
Hmm.
need like a special
No,
classification?
you can just get it. I mean, we might get a .com at some point, but it's worked pretty well for us. And
Okay.
so yeah, with regards to the personal story, it's actually pretty interesting. So I was paying my own way through college, as I know a lot of people have to do, and it was really stressful. And
Mm-hmm.
for students, your biggest expense outside of tuition is most definitely rent.
Housing, right?
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
it's incredibly stressful. And I realized I wasn't gonna have enough money to make for rent, and I had to do a lot of interesting things. I dropped out of school for a quarter, and I had to work up in the Bay Area, save up some money, come back, and yeah, it's hard. You're trying to work and balance your studies. And um, there was even one time where I was staying with my girlfriend at the time, and she was like, "Okay, I'm going to be studying abroad over the summer. You can just stay in my apartment."
Wow.
So I stayed in there, and then the property manager found out, and then she she
Oh,
got
she was in
really,
trouble.
yeah, we were in trouble. Yeah, she was like, you need to leave immediately."
That's crazy.
And then so we had to find a place within 24 hours. And so there's a lot of experiences like that where, as a student, you don't really feel like you have a home or a community when you don't have a place that you can go back to every night.
Right.
Yeah.
Um, wow. And every single challenge you experience in life is opening a door of opportunity, right?
Right, like, it was honestly I think a lot of those, like, traumatic and really challenging experience help define you and make you stronger, and also it's an opportunity. I see this as I know I'm not the only one who struggled with housing,
Hmm.
and it's also an opportunity. One of the things I'm really proud of with Unishack is that since we've launched, I would say we've had over 50,000 users, and,
That's
like
incredible.
yeah, and so we've helped a lot of people find housing, and it's a big problem,
It's
you
a big problem, yeah.
talk to students and I think what you're doing is great, like, making it so that you can rent it out at Zuma Housing to just one student at a time, like, especially if you're coming from abroad and you don't know anybody,
Hmm.
that's actually a really big pain point, right? Like,
Absolutely.
you can't rent, like, a three-bedroom apartment if you're just by yourself, but,
Right.
what you have created is an avenue for students to do that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, that's right. Wow, interesting. And then you're saying 50,000 users
Yeah, yeah, since we
specifically
launched.
looking for apartment around UCLA area. It is a very, very big challenge, by the way. I mean, Danny is not lying here. It is a real deal to get that apartment because Westwood is not only a town for students.
Yeah, no, it's
There are
not.
also a lot of wealthy individuals living in Westwood. It's a beautifully located place close to Beverly Hills, Santa Monica. It's right in the middle. If you ask me what's the best point in LA, I would say Westwood.
Yeah, yeah, West LA is definitely where it's at, and then, there's a reason it's expensive. You're right across from
Right.
Beverly Hills, Bel Air, and you have these incredible golf courses up high, and the weather's perfect.
Right.
You really couldn't ask for
Right.
better weather.
Right.
So yeah, it's expensive for a reason, but it's also unfortunate because students are often some of the most. It's your first time finding housing in general, right? Like it's if you're a student and a lot of times you're moving abroad, you don't know anybody. It's a big challenge for
It's a big
sure.
challenge, yeah, exactly. Well, let's say you got very lucky, you secured your apartment. Then there are other challenges in LA, and this is only for people who have not really come to LA yet. I'm sure they're dreaming about this beautiful city. But I think it would be also right to talk about certain challenges you may be experiencing here. Housing, like we said, it's one of them, but the second one is you gotta really work your way to the social connections. You gotta make friends,
Yeah,
right?
100%. I mean, I think that's honestly the most valuable thing you can have, not just in school, but in life.
Mm-hmm.
The relationships that you have, the friends that you make, and learning to be able to meet new people and build new relationships, I think that's really, really valuable. But
Mm-hmm.
you also need an environment that helps foster that,
Absolutely.
right? And
Absolutely.
so, if when people say, "Oh, what was the best time of my life?" Oh, it was in college. And why is that? It's because you're surrounded by so many different people, always meeting new people. They're all around your age. You don't
Right.
need to drive around. You just like you can meet the most interesting person just stumbling into them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I think
Personally,
your community actually is, I think, incredible because, you have the opportunity to meet all these different people that are like-minded from around the world,
mhm.
and it really brings people together in almost like a dorm-like environment.
And you're definitely a good part of our community, Danny. We work together as partners in the between Zuma Housing and Unishack Idea. That's one thing. And Danny and I have a lot of great conversations about entrepreneurship, future, career decisions, goals, and all that, right?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
100%. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you meet a lot of like-minded people, and that's one of the incredible things about LA in general is you meet a lot of really smart, ambitious people that are
Yeah.
trying to make an impact.
Yeah. And what's the best way of learning something, a subject?
Yeah, we've talked about that. It's just doing it, you
It's
know?
doing it and it's teaching it.
Yeah.
Because once you get that role of like master or mentor or the teacher, so you would have to keep yourself very fresh, very at the top of the level. And that is also a great way of learning that subject and becoming an expert in that.
Yeah, 100%. The best way to learn something is through doing it. I mean, how do you learn to ride a bike? You just get on the bike and you can't read a book on how to ride a bike, and it's the
Yeah,
same. I've
exactly.
actually learned the same thing from you, I've been like, okay, how do you start a business? How do you build relationships? How do you get into real estate? And you told me you just do it.
You do it. Yeah,
And
exactly.
it seems really complicated from the outside, and I think once you get in and start doing it, it's a little less
Right.
intimidating. But
Right.
it is quite hard if you've never done it before, and I think having that community is really essential. Having a group of mentor I mean, you're one of my mentors, and I've learned a
Thank
lot
you.
from you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
100%, yeah.
And you're one of my what do you say? You give me a lot of energy once we have these interactions. You actually also inspire me.
Yeah,
That's
well,
a great thing.
yeah, I mean,
I'm learning while I teach.
we feed off each other, and you want to surround yourself with the same mindset, the same energy, the same ambitions, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
you're further down the path than I am. You accomplished so much, and so I would definitely,
That's incredible.
yeah,
That's
like
awesome.
to learn more about that.
So do you see yourself more as an entrepreneur or oh, what am I saying here? Do you see yourself more as a student entrepreneur or an entrepreneur who happens to be a student?
So it's a bit hard. I mean, I would say I'm a bit. I see myself as more of a builder than anything. You know, since I was a
Hmm.
kid, I wanted to make things, I had Lego sets and played SimCity, and I think really we've talked about this. And you know, when you make decisions in life, it comes down to identity, and
Right.
that's a
Very
big question,
important.
right? Like, how do you make these big decisions in life? Like, what time you wake up in the morning, blah blah blah. It's all secondary to who do you want to be,
Who do you want to be?
right?
Right.
And
But not through the eyes of other people,
yeah.
through your own eyes, right?
Exactly. Like, you know, asking yourself, like, when you're younger, like, what did you want to be? And I knew that I wanted to be a builder. I wanted to be able to make things in this world and have an impact. And that's why I chose to specialize in engineering. And
And that's
also,
also the real estate idea.
100%, you know, I
Yeah.
saw a problem and I was like, why don't we just build something that can help solve this problem? And you're a part of that, right? You see this huge problem that exists
Absolutely.
with students, there's not enough housing, and then you're actually developing more housing. And we need more people like that. You know, I think we a lot of people when they see a problem they just think, oh, I wish somebody else could solve it for me, instead of figuring out how can I solve it for other people.
Hmm.
And I think, you know, when you're a builder like you are, and you know you have your general contracting, and it's incredible, you can actually help solve problems that exist in the real world.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah, great points, really. So, if you could go back to your first year at UCLA, what advice would you give to yourself? So, this is like more like,
I would say focus less on the academics and classes. I think in engineering, I don't know, a lot of people care a lot about grades and stuff.
right.
But really all that you can walk away with are the relationships that you have, the friends that you make. And I still keep in touch with a lot of the friends that I've made. And I think it all comes down to people
Hmm.
and really trying to meet as many people as you can. Because before college, I had at least a very narrow view of the world. And then you go to college and you meet all these people from different backgrounds.
Hmm.
It's incredible. I think, you know, ask people about their story and learn about them and
Right.
make as many friends as you
And get
can.
that inspiration from them, right?
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah, exactly. Well, let's just go over a little bit. Danny is very humble guy, and I know he's going to be very successful because he's very patient. He takes it very slow. He handles one project at a time. I think that's what he does.
Yeah.
He lets Brunschak idea to grow gradually,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
He's not killing it, he's not letting it die, but at the same time, he's adding a little bit of it, like, right?
Yeah,
Every
one step
single
at a
day.
time, you know,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah,
something that I'd like obviously for things to grow faster, but one thing that I think about is you taught me this, like who are you today versus who are you yesterday, right?
right.
And in the moment, I never feel like I'm making a lot of progress. But
Exactly,
then I look back 5 years ago, 10 years ago,
exactly.
and it's the same for you.
Even a year ago.
It's incredible, like,
Yeah,
how much you accomplish, right? But it
right,
all starts with you know, waking up in the morning, figuring out what's important to you, who do you wanna be,
right.
and then working towards that.
So that's also a good indicator to kind of imagine you today is having a conversation with you a year ago.
Wow.
So which one would learn from who, you know? Like, I mean, if the year ago guy is learning from the guy today, that's actually a big progress. And I think that's my observation about you. Right now, like what you're talking about is a lot more wise, and what you're saying makes more sense. And I see you're more patient. I don't see an anxiety. That's a great thing.
Yeah, and a lot of it comes down to good mentorship and, like, when, you know, when we've had lunch and you've taught me, like, okay, you know, instead of comparing yourself to other people, just compare yourself to who you were yesterday.
Exactly. Yeah.
That was honestly really
So
helpful.
then you become the fish in your own ocean.
Yeah, yeah,
You don't
yeah.
have to really like go into competition or get nervous about like how people become successful and you didn't. All these things are like psychological points that you need to make sure as principles, you know?
100%. And, you know, it's everybody has a different definition of success. And really your identity of who you want to be and what you want to work towards, that can only be defined by you, you know? And I think it's easy when you're surrounded by
Right.
all these other influences to do that. And one of the things I actually like to do is I like to go camping, spend time in nature, and then
Hmm.
you like to do this too. You were just
Absolutely.
traveling, right?
Yeah, I
You
travel.
know,
Yeah.
and then once you get out of your day to day and see more of the world and what the world can be, it really helps plug you out of your environment, right?
Right.
Because we've talked about this. So much of who you are is your environment. And so if you change up that environment, you really have an opportunity to ask, okay, so who am I individually outside of that environment? You
Mm-hmm.
really have an opportunity to find that
What
out.
would you like to tell people who want to come to LA, but who have not been able to achieve that yet? Because a lot of people, as you may know, they like to really have a life in LA.
Mm,
LA is an incredible city, and
yeah.
they don't know how challenging it is, and we will a little bit talk about that. What do you want to tell them?
I think it's a bit I'm a bit biased because I have more of an engineering mind. And so I've always been more on the practical side. I think there's people who say just, you know, follow your dreams, pursue your passions, but I also think that, is there a certain thing where going to LA can help you achieve? And I think that's something that's important to consider. And also make sure that you're doing it in a position where you're secure. I think
Right.
that's something that.
Yeah, don't have any financial or psychological anxieties here, right? When you come, just make
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, because even over the summer, I would stay with some people who were visiting from other places, and then they were stressed financially, and they
Hmm.
were in situations where they were working jobs that they really hated. And so I think a lot of times it's important to try to set yourself up for success,
Hmm.
like, and start small, like, maybe like, can you get like a small job out here that like gets you in a position where you can get closer to what you want to do? I think
Right.
that's important.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I gotta say a couple of things to you guys. Whether you're in LA, I mean, you just arrived LA, or you want to one day you want to be in the city. So it's almost like sometimes you dream about buying this um, incredible, like toys for yourself, but then once you purchase it, you don't do anything with it because you didn't mean to buy it in the first place. So my message to you is LA is a city with a lot of potential, and please study that before you get here.
yeah.
And I like to say that you need to know what you're getting into to get the maximum benefit out of it. Well, Danny, thank you so much for being here today.
Yeah, 100%.
It's been an incredible pod with you, and I'm sure we're gonna keep having the conversations.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's an awesome connection, and we're actually building a great relationship here.
100%. I'm super impressed with, you know, what I'm really impressed with you about is that you're not just talking about it, you're actually doing something.
Thank
You
you.
have
Thank you.
podcasters that are like, "Oh, like, let's build housing, let's get into real estate." You're the guy,
Thank you.
like, and there's a lot. I mean,
Thank you.
he's too humble, but there's a lot you can learn from him.
Thank you so much, buddy. Thank you. All right, guys. We'll have interesting guests like Denny in the next weeks. And yeah, stay in touch and let us know if you need anything. You don't have to have a visa. You don't have to have a, plane ticket to come to LA. Just like energize the idea. Let us know what you need. You can ask us budget questions about your housing, your potential spendings. We're here to support you. We want you to come here. We want you to be very successful, and we want to take a little bit of a part in your great accomplished journey. So that's what we want to do. And thank you so much for listening and watching us. We'll see you guys next week.
Thanks. Yeah. Stay with Zuma Housing.
Thank you.